I know Nigerians are pain. I know, they say T-pain, which means Tinubu pain. But the truth of the matter is that it's not Tinubu pain. It is temporary pain for permanent gain. When there's a reform that is going on, there's nowhere any reform takes place that there are no temporary pains. And, if there are no pains, there are no gains. We must all go through. I remember very well when Ikorodu Road was being constructed, my late brother, Idowu Okukwe, used to live in Okukwe Estate. He got home every day, and his children, he got home at 1:30 a.m., 2:30 a.m. They suffered, not just him as a family. Many people on that axis suffered. But today, we drive to the Ikorodu Road in 12 minutes, in 10 minutes, in 20 seconds. A generation paid and suffered for that construction that was done in Metropolis at that time. So, a generation will have to go through some temporary pain so that, generations coming behind and even those who are still alive can enjoy a much more permanent gain.
To field a Southern candidate in 2027, that candidate would also want to do 8 years, which would, breach that 8-year rotation plan for the North to fulfill its presidential allocation. What do you think of that?
It's a political quagmire. If the North decides to field another Southern candidate against Bola Tinubu, then the North will have shot itself in the leg. Don't forget, this is a third world country. Let us assume that you bring a new person and he wins. There's no agreement he will make with you. He will not spend another 8 years. So, you just extended the lifespan of the rotation to the South by another 4 years. So why don't we, what has Bola Tinubu done? Let's come to terms with this. What has Bola Tinubu done? Bola Tinubu has come with very serious reforms that will take the country away from, the situation in which it had been undergoing for the past 8 to 10 years. I will say it here on public television. This is the truth. This government has not been able to articulate this position, but those of us who are watching from the outside, we can see it. As of the time that the Bola Tinubu administration was coming into power, the country was finished, was socially, economically finished. We were spending 98% of our revenue, 98 cents on every dollar was being used for debt servicing. We were subsidizing fuel, we were subsidizing power, we were subsidizing virtually everything. There was there was very severe and serious arbitrage in the foreign exchange market. Now, so what did the Buhari administration do? They just went ahead and printed and continued to print money, until they printed up to 30 trillion. So Nigerians did not feel it because it was, the money was still being available, although it was not backed by anything. There are a few countries that have done this in the past. So it's not a matter of Nigeria is rich. Venezuela is extremely, one of the largest reservoirs of crude oil in the world. The poverty in Venezuela is worse than here. And I will show you something. This is Zimbabwe dollar. On this paper, or on this currency, is $100 trillion. Zimbabwe dollar, 100 trillion. It is probably worth about $15, $16, or $17. It will not buy in Zimbabwe 2 live fowls. Now, this is what Bola Tinubu has saved Nigeria from. If Bola Tinubu wanted to be popular and wanted to be, for him to be sang and all that, he would just go back and continue what was being done before, continue to print money until, God forbid, we approach this level. And, I have had people complain, which is legitimate, that dollar is 1,700. It could have been worse. It could have been 17,000. That fuel is 1,000. It could have been worse. It could have been 3,000 or 4,000 per liter. If these reforms had not been in place and has checked the escalating hyperinflation in which we entered into after Bola Tinubu's administration, it is wholesomely unfair.
Right.
And I'm almost tempted to say wicked for anybody to judge this administration after 18 months.
Well, can I say this?
Go and check the history of reformers.
Right. I think you've made some good points there. But I mean, the fact is, Dr. Akupe, there is no debate, is there? The cost of living crisis is evidently happening. It's biting very hard. Manufacturing is collapsing. Foreign investors are not coming in. And those that are here are leaving because of a foreign exchange crunch, a lack of infrastructure such as electricity, which is also killing domestic industries. Poverty is growing. Economic losses are growing and have been growing for the last 9.5 years of an APC government. And all that is baked into the failure of the government's reform policies, because you need all those trends to be reversed for those policies to work, don't you? I mean, so there is no debate that this country's trajectory
Charles,
is a real and present danger
Charles,
to the survival and failure of Nigerians. And it's simply not clear where the government is going to find the leverage to change that. Go ahead.
Now, can I come in here?
Yes.
Charles, you know, you are on a wrong premise to be saying 9.5 years of APC government. I, Donyo Okukwe, when APC was formed, I publicly declared it, you know, a conglomerate of strange bedfellows. I was laughed at, I was scorned by many people, but you know, today it is quite, I saw it, today it is quite clear that APC was made up of various political fragments, CPC, ACN, APGA, etc., etc. And you know, these were immiscible liquids. Yes, it is true that it is APC government, but you know, in this country, you know, we will have to be able to be more discerning. You know, Bola Tinubu cannot be held responsible for the government before him. Yes, people have argued that he was the principal character that brought Buhari. When Buhari was brought up as a candidate, more than half of the population of Nigeria jubilated. So, you know, we all assumed that, you know, the general was going to do well. The Yoruba people say that, look, you know, if the masquerade has already given birth to his child, and the child cannot dance, that's the problem of the child, not the problem of the masquerade that birthed it. So, you know, what you also said on the issue of manufacturing, on the issue of, you know, foreign direct investment and all that, you know, recent events have proven that to be wrong. Today, the MPS came up with their report to show that there's a 3% growth in GDP. And the manufacturing that you mentioned was part and parcel of that growth. There was growth in the manufacturing sector in the last quarter of this year than previous year, and the foreign direct investment is also increasing. And let me tell you, I told you that Buhari printed 30 trillion, which attracted about 7 trillion interest. That 7 trillion interest has been paid by Bola Tinubu. The airlines were being owed about $7 billion. And it was, you know, traveling by Nigerians will have been crippled, or Lagos, London will have come to something like 12 million naira for economy. But, you know, this administration, in less than 1 year, has sorted that out. We must, these reforms that are in place are beginning to show signs of productivity. So, when you go into the generalization that 9.5 years, that is not true, that is not correct. Let us agree, let us be factual, let us know, that, okay, this is where this administration started, this is where they say they're going, this is how far they're going. And then we support the administration to achieve its objective, not to castigate and bring it down and demonize it.